Giants on the red. Galio, the first ban here from Fnatic. Get Betsy off. That comfort pick for him.
I finally get my favorite champs like music.
You just
I was going to say Vedius then. I was about to do Vedius
is this
so
it's just how your life goes.
Weird.
You just talk to yourself the entire time. It's in your head.
So happy to be here with you, Vedius. Anyway, Medic, you are in fact my co-caster. Let's talk through some of the bans. Olaf being directed towards Djoko. We know that last year this was one of his go-to champions, even when it wasn't in the meta. But fortunately for him, Olaf pretty OP right now. Even received a buff on patch 8.5, so Fnatic gonna take that off the board. AD carry focus bans from Giants. Now, for me, this is fascinating because we're gonna talk about that in a second. We're gonna take a look at some of the previous plays that we saw from Giants after they had a pretty convincing win against Misfits.
That they did. They were able to get a lot of these team fights, get the Baron as well. They were able to win out some of these fights. And I think the thing against Misfits is that it used to be a big accomplishment to beat them, but now it doesn't really look like that anymore.
It's very, very true. But for the reality is, Giants, they did have a pretty impressive game last week, and they're going to look to try and replicate that performance this week. So coming back to some of these bans, targeted AD carry bans from Giants. The reason why I find that so fascinating is because Steeelback's two best performing ADs this split have been Caitlyn and Tristana. Both of them have been taken off the board, and now he's going to be forced onto something that I feel he's not going to be as dominant, especially when he's going to be going up against the best performing AD carry in the European LCS.
And an MVP candidate, to say the least. Probably our forerunner for MVP, Rekkles. Now, Bwipo has locked in the Sion for the top lane. Could, of course, go mid to caps, but not really his style. He usually likes a bit more aggression in that mid lane, a little bit more damage as well. On the other side, Giants get the Sejuani and the Xayah for themselves. They don't have the best record on that AD carry. Steeelback 0-2 on Xayah throughout this split.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I think their whole goal here is to try and take Rekkles off a comfort pick, put him on something where he can't build his own leads, but knowing Rekkles, I'm sure he will find a way. Right now, we've seen top side of the map locked in for Fnatic. You talked about it, how last week Fnatic invested a lot of their resources towards the top side of the map. I felt it was a great example of playing towards your enemy win conditions and shutting them down. So let's see how Fnatic round their first half of the draft. Looks like they're going to lock themselves in an AD carry as well.
I doubt it will be Ezreal because Rekkles has been very outspoken about how bad he thinks Ezreal is. If it is, we'll have to see if he is actually able to pilot it better than he thinks the champion deserves. Actually, if that's still being hovered, it is Ezreal at the end, so it's a big change for Rekkles. Has played it twice this split, but I remember a couple of weeks ago on the EU For You podcast, he said it was the worst AD carry.
It's one of the advantages of not being his turn. He's not the one locking in Capses, so he doesn't have a choice.
Oh, that's
He's
true.
going to do what his coach tells him to do, and now he will be playing Ezreal whether he likes it or not. Now for Giants, I feel like they should try and lock in either the Rakan to round out a solid bottom lane, or get themselves a top laner. It looks like they're going to go for the support, so now they can look to ban out a couple of supports of themselves, take away things like the Alistair, maybe even the Leona. Braum could also be a potentially good ban here, or the Tahm Kench. And for Fnatic, you expect them to ban away things like the Shen, like the Cho'Gath. Take stuff away that is obnoxious for Bwipo to play into.
Nah is still an option for Ruin. There's the Alistair ban that you mentioned, Vedius. Alongside that, personally, I'd really like to see a Morgana ban because of the safety that she provides in that bottom lane. But that's just because I don't like playing against Morgana.
I also think Morgana Ezreal, you think Ezreal's a bad champion? Put him with the Morgana, and I think you have like one of the worst bot lane combos ever. So I would be very surprised if Hylissang decided to do that. They're actually choosing to ban away mid laners now, and Nivea being taken off the board. We have seen Nivea often picked into the Sion because the wall is a great anti-engage tool against his ultimate. So a bit of respect going over towards Betsy there. Looks like they don't really care about banning away top laners for the time being.
Vedius, I have a weird question, and it's very much the play-by-play in me that's coming out.
Sure.
Could this be an Ezreal mid?
No.
Not at all. AP Ezreal mid is dead?
I mean, I would be very surprised if it was an AP Ezreal mid. We can talk about it if it gets locked in, and I can very quickly Google some stuff because I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, nor have I, but for some reason in my mind it's just like, oh, it could be.
You always have the ability. I mean, if Rekkles locks in an AD carry and says, unlucky, then you don't really have much of a choice. But I think for now, Giants safely lock in either the Gnar or the Cho'Gath. Very solid answers into the Sion. Won't give him the blind push that he often has so regularly into so many matchups. Right now, Giants drafting themselves. It's definitely not Ezreal mid.
Swain AD carry, let's go. No, Swain mid for caps. First time we've seen it.
It's a flex. They
Could
put
be a
the
flex.
Swain up top, put it onto Bwipo, you put the Sion in the middle lane. They might want to get him out of the Cho'Gath lane and potentially give a counter. So how are Giants? The problem with Swain is I don't really know what's a good counter to him, and because you don't know where he is, it's a really difficult thing to predict. So Giants, they're just going to go for the safe route. I think this will be flex. I think the Swain will go top. They'll put the Sion into the Ryze. That's my initial expectation.
We'll have to see, because we have seen a lot of Swain was buffed on 8.5 as well. They upped his... he reduced his cooldown on his Death's Hand early on, that's the Q. The radius on his W went up. His never move radius went up, that's the E. And his ultimate now passes through champions, which isn't actually that important, but it's still really cool.
So I'm keeping an eye. I believe they have until 20 seconds to, for sure, lock in. There's the swap. I knew it. I knew it. The Swain has been swapped up into the top lane. The Sion is in the mid. They chose to have the Swain into the tank matchup. Bwipo is going to be put on a little bit more of a carry. Caps' job is just to be wave push and a front line, and this time Bwipo is the man they're setting up to shine.
And that's so good for Bwipo as well, because he's known as a carry top laner. That's one of the reasons that it was so exciting to see him play last week. He picked Sion, which was a little bit boring, but now he's got the Swain. Now he can really put on his carry pants. We'll have to see how effective he is into Ruin's Cho'Gath. Really not sure how that matchup goes. I'm very much looking forward to looking at top.
To watch, and I talked so much about him.
That's amazing, Vedius. It's as if I knew that.
Well, we can talk a lot more about him once we get into game, but this is exciting. Again, every game counts this week on the EU LCS. Giants, after some of the results from today, will want to get themselves a win, because there's only 2 playoff spots left. Vitality and Splice did lock themselves in, and Giants, they want to join.
This is such a tough week for Giants as well. They have Fnatic today, they've got Splice tomorrow. Those are not easy matches to win. Fnatic are kind of like, yeah, we're in top spot, but giving your sub some experience on the LCS stage and allowing him...
Are they bananas?
It says, peel me, I'm hot.
Oh. I don't know how effective of a pickup line that is.
I also, you wouldn't see it on a banana, and that's where the pun falls down,
why
in my
would
opinion.
a banana
Why
ever
would a
be
banana
hot?
want to be peeled? So we went different ways there. Banana boy.
Okay, fair enough. Each their own.
Okay, Vedius, talk to me about Bwipo
Bwipo.
in this top lane on the Swain. Because last week he had a good performance as the Sion 108. He was camped by Fnatic. They put a lot of pressure up towards that top side.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of positive comments towards him as well. So many of the community said, this guy has been great. Love some of the tweets that we were able to read here. One from Marcel. Good to see Bwipo in his EU LCS debut. This guy will tear up Europe in 2019. Dude, he's already doing it when he gets full starting spot, and with the guidance from Soaz. Proud of the development. Only one game is all he needed to see the...
Now, this was my favorite tweet from Memento. Give Bwipo Rookie of the split. Thankfully, you have to play 3 games.
You have to play 3 games. So he is playing today. Maybe if he plays tomorrow.
Can we not bring that scenario up? Because I'm lead for MVP voting, and I've already put out the form. It doesn't have Bwipo's name on it.
Well, maybe. We'll have to wait and see for tomorrow. But for now, as you rightly identified, he's playing the Swain. Let's talk a little bit about it, right? Because it's exciting. Swain up in the top lane. Typically, you see Swain picked into tanks. He's fairly low range, but he's pretty good at just harassing. The easiest comparison to make is a Vladimir, right? When I talked to a couple of top laners in the past, they very much said, like, easiest comparison, think of Vladimir. His whole goal is just harassing. He has got a lot of sustain thanks to his passive as well. He just keep throwing out poke and just make the enemy tank's life obnoxious. Now, the really cool thing about Swain is mainly his passive that drags in any CC target. It makes him great in setting up picks, and it's combined very nicely when you have hard CC in the form of things like a Braum and a Sion. Now, Broxah coming for a very early gank towards the top side. This could be good setup.
Never Move didn't connect, but Bwipo does get the Death's Hand out. Ruin flashes, and that passive will not be in effect from Bwipo, but there's a summoner spell out from Ruin already.
Now Broxah can look to make a return gank later on to try and set up Bwipo for success. And I'm excited to see the impact that Bwipo can have in these team fights, because that's really where the general can shine. His ulti is so obnoxious, he's really surprisingly tanky, and he can basically make
Betsy.
so much...
Oh, Betsy has Ignite caps! With the shield.
The shield.
Will be enough.
That was close.
That was very close and very aggressive from Betsy as well on one of his signature champions, of course. Djoko going for the early invade. He does this so often, will have to jump across the wall. Broxah's not going to chase him any further.
Now the thing is, in that mid lane trade, Betsy had used both his summoner spells, both the Flash and the Ignite, whereas Caps used absolutely nothing. Now while he is a little bit low, he can just go back to base, TP back in, he's good as nuke. He's more than happy. And now, this is another lane that they can actually look to gank. When Caps hits level 6, that is a big engage tool that they can use to shut down this Ryze. So, plenty of options right now for Broxah, getting a bit of a steal off after a good trade versus Djoko.
So I've just been informed that I'm pronouncing it wrong, which isn't really that surprising, because
What are you mispronouncing?
Bwipo. It's Bwipo.
Bwipo.
Yes. With a little W-E in that middle.
Oh, so
Bwipo.
like we.
Yeah, Bwipo. Like we, like us. Or you and yourself, as you
I
like
see,
to
yes. Vedius and I. Bwipo. Okay, we will try our best to correct that.
We'll get that right from now on. He is behind in CS in that top lane. In the
Yeah, a little surprising there. I wonder if he's focusing a little more on harassment than he is on last hitting. I'm not entirely... There may be a big wave up there too that he's waiting to catch, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for the time being.
6 minions. It's relatively big. There's the never move into the Ravenous Flock, that passive.
Wow, I'm impressed that you already know all the names. I see you've done a lot of prep for this in advance.
Tons.
Really impressive there, Medic. This is why you got the job here in Europe. Always forward thinking.
Now, Vedius, we've talked a lot about Bwipo and Fnatic and their style and the fact they're secured at the top of the split.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit about Giants.
Okay.
We've already seen Djoko try and have some aggression into the jungle. It didn't pay off. That's tended to be a way that they get ahead in games throughout the split. But they haven't recently actually been able to capitalize on any of this early aggression.
Yeah, so far, Giants have... they've tried a lot of stuff. We saw Betsy going for a hard engage in the middle lane. We've seen Steeelback and Targamas actually making a lot of pressure generated down the bottom lane, but it actually hasn't resulted in any kind of CS lead. So Djoko tried to look for a bit of an early gank, unfortunately has yet to come to fruition. I feel like a lot of it has come from the early vision that we've seen from Fnatic, but for Giants as a team, I feel like it is very important that they are able to find these early ganks. They tend to show much more success as a team when Djoko is being active and the rest of the team can properly follow on the early kind of ganks and pressure that he is trying to exert.
Have to see if he's able to actually get anything going. Because meanwhile, in the mid lane, Betsy's going to get knocked up with a decimating smash, and Hylissang's on his way up. There's the realm warp. Betsy gets caught out, though, and that's first blood to Fnatic. 1-0.
Oh, it looks so good early in the game for Betsy, very nearly getting himself a kill. And then, due to the lack of summoner spells, Fnatic get the return gank. Betsy now falls behind. Broxah picks up first blood. Fnatic off to an early game lead.
That's just so good, because you could already see Hylissang coming up from the bottom lane. They knew they were going to do something. Fnatic have been very coordinated throughout the last few weeks, playing the game almost flawlessly at times.
Now, for Giants, this early game setback could hurt them a little bit more later on. We're going to have a little look back, but the gank is pretty straightforward. For Giants, the fact that Ryze won't be able to look to try and make early roams is going to hurt them quite a lot, because when you have a Xayah Rakan, very often you want to try and play through that bottom lane. You have your Cho'Gath, you can just leave to his own devices. But it's Djoko. Bruin has level 6. Wouldn't be surprised if they look to try and gank top. Oh, they're actually going for a return gank mid.
Yeah, Broxah is there. Does have the
Djoko,
flash.
though.
Here comes Djoko, a level behind. Broxah's looking for the knock-up if he can get there. Cap stunned up. Decimating smash comes out. Broxah chases onto Betsy, and Betsy will be the first to fall. Caps flashes away. Djoko with the flash chase. Will take down Caps as well. And Ruin is running his way towards Broxah. Djoko.
Oh my
Djoko.
No.
Killed by a dead man.
No.
Get clapped.
Oh,
And Broxah gets away.
that was sick.
You know what I love from Ruin? He's like, oh, you can deal with the zombie. You can deal with the zombie. I'm going to go chase Broxah. Could have feasted him. Could have auto-attacked him once.
Brains. That was literally what that was on Cap's design. Brains.
Left for dead all over again.
Brains. So good. So good from Cap. He didn't even have the Glacial Augment. He had Comet. He didn't have the slow. It was it was like beating a dead horse, but not a horse. Anyway, 2v2 exchange. I mean, 1v2 in the bottom lane.
Hylissang will just be able to stop Steeelback and Targamas from doing too much in this bottom
So the
lane.
reason why our replay is being delayed is because I know we're going to get some of the cool angles.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
zombie kill. That's what I'm expecting.
The angles of the zombie kill. Hylissang is actually quite low here, chasing onto Targamas, but he can always jump away and then use the enhanced recall with the Xayah.
No fear there from Hylissang.
That's fine. I don't think you should be too fearful of that sort of situation. If you are braum, you know the Ezreal's on his way.
1v2 though, to be fair, showing a lot of confidence, like they play now. Bwipo, ooh, good silence from Ruin.
Vision of Empire came out as well. You can see Bwipo's building up those stacks towards his demonic ascension. The more you have, the more damage you do with it.
Yes, that is very true. It's going to be very important. It's surprisingly easy to stack when you're in the ulti form as well. But mainly one of the biggest benefits for Swain on this patch was the buff to his Q, because of now the lower cooldown means that you can just keep throwing it out at early levels, and it's not that big of a mana drain, especially if you go for either an early Abyssal Mask, which is kind of what I'm expecting him to do here, or you could just go for the Rod of Ages into something like this. Now Bwipo needs to be careful because Djoko's hanging around.
Bwipo gets caught out with a Glacial Prison, can't really get away from this one and doesn't have time to pop the ult. Feast comes down.
Now, this is going to be another big advantage gained for Giants. Up in the top lane, the fact that they're able to shut down Bwipo is going to help them get Ruin a little bit ahead, have that Cho'Gath set up for success in the next few teamfights. And the fact that Bwipo is falling behind means that if the Swain does start to struggle, he is very reliant on those items to have an impact in these later fights. So falling into a deficit, the fact that we didn't see a repeat gank from Broxah, means that perhaps he's going to struggle in these next few fights.
And having an avenue for success is so important for Giants. You have to remember they're still playing for that 6th spot. You know, you're getting chased by Schalke, H2K, Misfits are all hot on their heels. Rocket taking the win today have now stepped one step further away. Giants need to win these next 2 games if they can.
And it's funny because for every team that lost today in Schalke and Misfits, they want Giants to lose because they want to close the gap, they want to catch up. And now, here we are. This is the replay. This is where we're going to get to see some zombie action. Now, Fnatic make a logical move, return gank onto Betsy. Unfortunately, Caps missed his ulti, so the setup wasn't there. Gives time for Djoko to arrive. Only level 4, but a beautiful flash from the E combo allows Broxah to get the kill. Now, Caps goes down. Here we are. This is it. Look at the chase. He can't escape.
Brains!
Easy kill there for Caps, and he goes down as a well-fed man.
And here's the next gank.
And here's the next gank, yes.
Less brains in this gank, Vedius.
Significantly, yeah. They just go fly pigeon shooting, I guess, in this scenario. Very easy kill there up onto the top side. Ruin gets himself another kill.
Pigeon shooting.
I mean, I've been clay pigeon shooting.
That's a good joke.
But you don't actually shoot pigeons, just to clarify. No pigeons were harmed in the making of that joke. And Bwipo, he is pretty far behind right now. I'm going to go back and review and see how he ends up falling behind so much during the laning phase, because typically this is not what you would expect from the Swain matchup. Usually he is the one on the aggressive, but the thing you've got to remember about Cho'Gath is he has a lot of sustain in lane naturally from his passive, which means that he can just buy a lot of time, and he seems to be doing pretty well. So Ruin in a good spot, but Fnatic still holding on to the gold lead.
Yeah, and they've got a 10 CS, almost 15 CS lead in the bottom lane, but Targamas is trying to turn that one around because they jump straight onto Rekkles. He'll try and leap away, but the ignite and the final feather from Steeelback is enough. Hylissang caught out as well, but a great flash gets him away from the blade caller. Djoko can tank this one for days, though. There's no escape. Hylissang, not from Targamas, and here's Gleaming Quill.
Djoko doing Djoko things, gank after gank after gank.
It's working.
It is working. He's found kills in the top side. He was able to get a kill in mid, and now he's setting up the Xayah and the Rakan for success. Fnatic answering with a mid-tier 1. This will allow them to hold on to the gold lead, but Giants setting themselves up nicely for the team fights come the mid-game.
And that's what Giants always seem to look for. Here comes the double TP though. Caps and Hylissang on the flank. Here's a counter TP from the Giants. They try and bring the Ryze across towards this. Down towards the other side of this fight, though, we'll see actually Djoko getting caught out by Broxah. He has to flash away. Caps is low. Betsy's here now. Hylissang's going to jump away because Ruin joins the fray, has the beast, and he will be able to help kill Caps. And now they're looking for the second one on Hylissang. There it goes. Broxah and Rekkles, the 2 carries, but Fnatic trying to do something. Bwipo here as well. Bweep is the sound of Swain as he comes in. But Bwipo cannot do enough damage on the backline. The root on Steeelback. Broxah gets it. Ruin there as well. The Demon player's doing a lot of work on towards that Cho'Gath. Eventually he'll get down underneath the tower.
And it ends up being a 1 for 2 in favor of Giants. So many ultis and summoner spells were used in that back and forth. Fnatic not conceding after all the early pressure that Djoko's been able to exert. Broxah, he's been involved in every single kill so far this game. He's even level 9. His impact has been pretty significant after Rekkles has been falling behind. But let's take a look back at how this all started. The control ward denies vision, and a good flash engage from Targamas allows for a very easy chain CC from Giants. Bit of a delayed ulti there from Hylissang. I feel like he didn't have enough mana, so he couldn't throw it out earlier. We don't have time for more fights, though, because another engage.
Another engage onto Caps. Betsy's looking for the root there. It comes. Here comes the prison as well, and this just a stun lock onto Caps. Unstoppable knocks into Betsy. The second prison can't quite connect, and Giants do not secure the kill on Caps.
Yeah, again, the rush at the banner of the command. Nice resistances, and the natural tankiness coming out from Caps enables him to get away. Does have to use his flash, but Giants continuing with their aggression. Very close, back and forth. Let's have a look. So, oh, we actually get to see the replay. Thank you very much for this, observers. The double teleport did come in from Fnatic, and this was a long corner because it's only a 2 versus 3 in this situation due to the teleport coming in from the Ryze. The bigger teleport is what you can see on the minimap coming in from Ruin. This successfully zones out Rekkles and cuts off the escape from Caps and Hylissang, allowing Giants to pick up an easy follow-up. Djoko ends up dying because Swain ends up arriving. He doesn't actually use his TP in this fight, or it ends up getting cancelled. He may have actually cancelled it. I can't quite remember. Oh, it's because Hylissang TP, that's why. Another fight.
Fight down towards the bottom side as Ruin is flashed on by Broxah, doing absolute work thus far. There's the Catacombs as well. Here comes the True Shot barrage, and Ruin has nowhere to go, stuck in the walls. And Broxah gets himself another kill. 4-0-2 on this Jarvan now.
This is a battle of the junglers right now, Medic. Both Djoko and Broxah just ganking after gank. Looking for opportunities. Fnatic now find themselves a kill. They will get themselves a tower, and they will equalize the tower score.
Well, Vedius, we have the most kills at the 15-minute mark in a game this split.
Wow.
It's an exciting one, and we've had 4 towers go down as well. 2-2 across the board. A slight gold lead for Fnatic. CS ahead in that bottom lane, but evened out by the lack that Bwipo has in the top lane of Ruin.
Very true. He's slowly ramping up. Decided to go for the early Rod of Ages, which means that he will be going more of the scaling damage approach rather than the off-tank sort of build. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a Zhonya's, but he could also choose to go for something like the Liandry's if he wants a little bit more consistent damage. Expect to see a Grievous Wounds coming out somewhere from the side of Giants, because it does help a lot against the team fight power of Bwipo and the Swain and the amount of sustain that you can get from all of these fights.
It's not the easiest team to get one for, though. I guess you could go Bramblevest, but then you're relying on him auto-attacking you. Here comes the Realm Warp down onto Bwipo again. He flashes away. Betsy brought a couple of minions with him. But
this is a 4-man stack. They also have the Rift Herald as action happens in the top side for Fnatic.
Yeah, Ruin's getting chased down. The Rift Herald is going to get some damage on this tower, but I'd really like to see what Ruin is doing up towards that top side, because Hylissang and Rekkles are on the chase. Not that much damage on Rekkles yet, only the Iceborne and the Mana Moon. Good knock up, True Shot barrage, the jump in from Broxah. There's the kill. It's Fnatic secure it, but the Rift Herald's going to push down towards an inhibitor tower in this bottom lane. 16 minutes in, it's Fnatic that are falling behind on tempo.
Yeah, Bwipo can't really do much about this, but Fnatic pushing in the middle lane. Caps on the tower. He also has the empowered siege minion. He will get a decent amount of damage, but Ryze has returned. Remember, he can't clear that out. Fortunately, the tower is doing it for him. And Fnatic in the top side. Both teams, very clear plans as to what they want to be doing, and neither conceding way. Gold still very even.
Yet to see any of those team fights that Giants tend to look for in the mid and late game as well. They have a good composition for it once again. Have to see how Fnatic are able to answer, because at the moment, this game feels very split across the map.
Well, it certainly is. Fnatic desperately want to get that tier 1 down in the top lane, and Giants, they want to grab themselves the tier 1 in the mid, open up the map a little more, allow them to get that deeper vision in, to then look for a couple more picks and maybe a few more fights. Remember, Giants, they do have a pretty good team fighting composition. We heard the win conditions from Deficio and Amazing at the beginning of this game. Giants, we want to see Steeelback stepping up. Well, he's 2-1-2. We want to see Djoko ganking. Well, he's been ganking a lot. And also, we want to see team fighting from Giants. So now they've got themselves a comp that can do it. The question is, can they pull it off against who I believe to be one of the best, if not the best, team fighting team in the league?
Have to remember, Cloud Drake was changed on this patch. Now gives in-combat movement speed, 2% for the first one. And then that buffs up as if you're out of combat to 6%. Vedius, as the game has slowed down a little bit from that early frantic action, I want to talk about Fnatic again, and I want to talk specifically about Rekkles and Caps, two players that have been incredibly consistent throughout the split, and both of them in contention for our MVP. If you were to give it to someone, who would it be?
Ooh, for me, it has to be Rekkles. I feel like that right at the start of the split, he was playing a little poorly, bit of a detriment to his team, we admit. But he openly said that with the introduction of Joey to the roster, the change in mindset, his ability to trust the team a little bit more, has allowed them to become a lot more well-rounded. But it's still very close. Caps, he's had consistently good performances. When the pressure was on, he was stepping up for his team. But there was a result last week that really kind of swung it for me, Medic.
Well, it's an interesting result, it was indeed, because last week, Fnatic, guess how many times they died as a team?
I believe there was one.
There was. And guess how many times Caps died as a team? As a player.
Don't tell me.
It was one.
It was
100% of his team's deaths last week.
And this is why he can't be my MVP. This is the reason. He's holding Fnatic back. Even though he's had a great split last week, he was what was holding this team back.
It's a disgrace. Now, Vedius, I do want to add a clarifier to that last graphic. We used damage numbers, which Caps looks very good at and Rekkles looks relatively good at. Our stats team is very ardent that Rekkles looks very good at a lot of other stats as well. He's first and second in the majority of stats for AD carries. He is an incredible player at the moment and deserves every accolade that he is winning.
But he is playing a champion that he hates right now.
Yes.
And he died, which is going to hurt his stats a lot.
Yes, probably a substantial amount, especially with Mini Trueback stepping up.
Also very true. So, we've talked a lot about some of the individuals. We talked a lot about the game state. Baron is spawning soon. I feel like this is Giants' opportunity to kind of force stuff.
Okay.
Cho'Gath, really good around this objective. His Nom Nom is basically Smite version 2, right? So, you're going to want to take advantage of that. But the thing is for Fnatic is they're going to be strong at this point in the game. Rekkles about to hit 3 items the moment Bwipo completes his Leandries. He's going to be in a really good spot too. Caps, not the greatest of damage dealers, but they have a pretty solid front line in the form of Broxah. Betsy starting to get these stacks on these Rod of Ages, and Steeelback has hit this 2-item spike, so he should be a little bit weaker than Rekkles. So Giants want to wait a little bit longer, and maybe get that 3rd item done for Rekkles before they try and look for a couple more fights. But Baron is certainly going to be a big point of contention moving forward.
So if Giants do force a fight, we have to look at how Fnatic are going to answer that. You know,
Yes.
You've got the disengage from Hylissang, you've got Rekkles with the Iceborne Gauntlet as well, but can they actually match up against Giants in a full 5v5 team fight?
I mean, it's going to come down very much to execution. Ezreal, very difficult to play into a double tank comp. But again, it's because of how strong he is right now that Fnatic feel pretty confident to force something as they group up as a 4-man unit in the bottom lane.
Betsy's all the way in the top side, doesn't have teleport either. Sitting on Ghost Flash at the moment. Realm Warp is available, but Caps is in the mid lane now as well. Looks like he's used Banner to try and push out that wave. Actually, must have used it previously in a different lane. There it is, it's in the top lane. I knew he'd use it somewhere.
It's because they were trying to make life difficult for Betsy, which, as you can see, he kind of hates life right now. But Fnatic looking to secure this tower.
Rocket's going to come out from Giants as well, but it's only a 3,000 gold lead for Fnatic coming over the 20-minute mark. They have been able to secure 4 towers. Giants have matched them on that front, but slight CS lead now for Bwipo in that top lane. He's turned his fortunes around. And just some better map play from Fnatic at the moment is leading them to a good spot.
Remember the stakes for Fnatic. They've already locked in that 1st place spot. They ideally want to finish the season 14-4. You know, you want to finish with the best record possible. They want to give Bwipo more stage experience, setting him up for future success. Whereas for Giants, there's a lot more on the line. 7-9, a lot of other teams tied around them. We had Schalke and Misfits lose today. We had H2K win and Rocket win. Now Rocket are in the clear 5th place. If Giants get a win here, they tie things up with Rocket, and the pressure then falls on so many of the other teams below them. Whereas if they lose, the race just gets even closer.
Getting that win is really important for Giants because they win the head-to-head against teams like Misfits as well. So even if Misfits are able to equal their scoreline tomorrow, Giants would win out in that tiebreaker.
One could say that every game counts.
I think I heard a very eloquent and attractive man actually say that right at the start of the...
Wow, yeah, Pirate did say that. You're right. Like, that was... I believe he even talked about a hashtag that was out there that people could use to let us know who they think will make it to playoffs.
Yeah, make sure you tweet at us with the hashtag #EveryGameCounts. Tweet your predictions. Which of the bottom 6 teams can... Well, each of the bottom 6 teams can still make it to playoffs. And I think the important thing is here that there are 2 spots left. Like, it's so tight at the bottom.
Oh, it is.
And you have to really give it your all if you're going to make it into those final 2 spots.
And I think that after earlier in the day, Deficio's all aboard the H2K hype train. He thinks they're going to lock in a spot. He's committed to it this week.
What's your hype train? Because I want to be on a different train.
I mean, I kind of joined the Roccat one a couple of weeks ago. I'm still a bit of a believer.
But then you didn't vote for them today in your predictions, Vedius.
The funny thing is I did, and then I changed.
Why did you change?
Because of reasons.
Okay.
Many reasons.
Bad ones, obviously, because they won.
Yes. So right now we're just having a bit of a standoff between these 2 games. Teams, rather. You can see Caps coming off from the flank. They're going to have mid-priority, and the Mandrake has just spawned. So Fnatic's eyes should be set onto this Drake, but Giants going for an engage.
Caps used the ult to get away, only a short-range jog for him, not the marathon we usually see Sion go on, but Djoko does still have the ultimate available. They're going to try and force Fnatic out of the river. Decimating Smash as the Glacial Fissure as well. Broxah's in the front line, but he's caught up with the Glacial Prison. Here comes the engagement. Targamas jumps all the way out the back line and gets the charms off. Bwipo trying to get in from the side here, gets onto Betsy, the great Cataclysm, the decimating Smash. Betsy's low, tries to braum warp away. Will be able to escape across the wall. Bwipo chases him with a flash. Demon Flare, Betsy with the root. Demon Hand, not enough. But a killing spree for Rekkles. And Betsy will escape down towards the bottom side of this fight.
And this is the great team fighting from Fnatic that we talked about. Even though Giants have a composition that looks like it's built to fight, Fnatic respected the engage and didn't allow it to happen. They come out with the team fight win, and they've got their eyes set on the Baron.
Yeah, that's all that Hylissang's doing here is delaying Betsy's back so that he can't get to the Baron in time because Fnatic have started it up. And it's on Djoko to try and steal. 7,000 HP. Will Djoko be there in time? Fnatic can get through this one relatively quickly. Targamas with the cleanse away, jumps onto Steeelback. Just trying to delay this Baron if they can. Djoko, no flash, but does have the smite, can jump in. 1,000 HP left. Here comes Djoko. The steal was on, but he couldn't quite get it in time. And eventually he gets into the fight. Steeelback gets chunked away. Ruin with the chase, though, trying to get on towards this Bwipo. Targamas jumps down towards the bottom side. Rekkles gets the kill, and now Ruin is caught in a bad spot. Never move, pulls him back. And here comes the axe. That's the kill. Bwipo gets it for Fnatic.
And Fnatic take everything as they secure the Baron, they secure the team fight win, and they finally get a solid grasp over this back and forth game. Giants have been trying so hard to find that ideal fight. They've been looking for a weakness, a point of opportunity to exploit from the side of Fnatic, and unfortunately, they just couldn't find it.
Really strong team fighting from Fnatic. They just were always willing to disengage and re-engage when they needed to.
And look at just how well Fnatic keep Giants at arm's length, prevent them from getting that full 5-man engage, utilizing the structure of the map to funnel them into a choke point. Rekkles was constantly safe. You had Bwipo coming in from the flank, and all Giants could do after everything was blown is run away. Good teamfight execution once again from Fnatic. An overall great play from them as they just look to secure the Baron. I believe Djoko's Q was on cooldown, so he couldn't dash into the pit. That's why he didn't go for the steal. Ended up in another fantastic win for Fnatic.
And Ruin TP's in just to die at the end as well, which isn't the best of things. Fnatic just continue to look like the best team here in Europe, and now they're pushing in with the Baron. Giants do have the teamfight composition, they'll try and answer. But Fnatic seem to be asking unanswerable questions right now. Banned up Baron minion as well.
Now remember that with the changes on 8.5, the Baron buff and the Banner of Command buffs no longer stack. You still do more damage than you did in the past, but Bwipo is trying to run for his life.
Gets knocked up, the blast gun's going to knock him away though, but the Glacial Prism is there in time. Giants get the kill, but Fnatic are looking to secure 2 inhibitors off this as perhaps Hylissang and Broxah did come across. Rekkles will get the first. Maybe they can rotate down towards the middle lane as well. Good capitalization from Giants, but still lose quite a bit with that push.
It was only a matter of time before they ended up losing that inhibitor anyway, so finding a kill to slow down Fnatic's siege and prevent them from going for more is still at least a small win for Giants. But the gold deficit is starting to mount. Things are looking bleak for Giants as Fnatic secure their second break of the game.
7,000 gold behind a mountain, a Cloud Drake on Fnatic, that inhibitor in the bottom lane. Still almost a minute left on this Baron as well, so they can look for a push down mid. At the moment, Fnatic are just in an incredibly good spot. And we saw, flashbacks to normal Fnatic top lane dynamics there. Bwipo was sacrificed for the good of the team.
And you can see that Bwipo has still been contributing 15,000 damage overall. It does help that he was going up against a tank that he can consistently harass out, but we've seen the impact he's had in a couple of these fights. And another decent game overall. Perhaps not to the same extent as the last time he did play on stage, where Fnatic literally camped him and set him up for success. This is what happens when you're the one that gets ganked a couple of times, but still, overall solid performance for the young rookie.
Sitting on the Leandries that we mentioned and that Void Staff as well now.
Void Staff, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Deciding to go for a little bit more damage rather than the defensive tools of the Zhonya's.
The game is not over for Giants yet, of course. We've seen Fnatic close out very well from this sort of position over the last few weeks, but if Giants find a good team fight, if they manage to pick off Rekkles or Bwipo before a fight starts, they can definitely do some work. Yet to see that grievous wounds anywhere on their team, though, to try and shut down the Swain.
Very, very true. I mean, grievous wounds also just helps with all the warmogs that Fnatic have on their side. Root comes in onto Betsy. Not going to result in too much. Bottom lane going to be pushed by the super minions, and Fnatic now grouping up as a 5-man in the top lane.
And it's just clean. Like, this is when Fnatic get ahead, they look like the best macro team in the league.
Now, Giants, their best opportunity is to try and force an engage. Ruin does have the TP, and he has a couple of wards that he can try and go for a flank with, but they're actually just going on to Caps.
So because Caps has used the ultimate already, there is the stopwatch. And although it's broken, he is now safe.
He'll be able to get out of what looked like a bit of a sticky situation. A lot of ultimates still available. Here we go.
Djoko has his, knocks it onto Broxah. There's the knock-up from Ruin from the side, but the Glacial Fissure is going to lock him out for the time being. Vision of Empire comes down as well. Damage onto Djoko, the flash, the charm, the knock-up onto 3. Can Giants find the engage they want? Ruin is in that front line, but there's really not that much damage on Fnatic at all. Ruin has to flash away. Fnatic continue to sustain. Bwipo flashes in. He wants to make an impression on the EU LCS stage. There's the kill on Ruin. Giants are forced to run back to the fountain. It's a double for Bwipo. Betsy Realm Warps out. Betsy Realm Warps out. But Fnatic are looking to clean out this game. The last few minutes have been so clean, it's basically been a tied ad as Fnatic are looking for the Nexus.
Giants went for the last-ditch play, but unfortunately it was not enough. They don't have the damage. The front line for Fnatic is too strong. The Nexus is in their eyes, and Fnatic looking to go 13-4.
First tower will fall. They're gonna try and take the second one down, but Targamas has something to say about it right now. Betsy off towards the side as well, does have a lot of damage. There's the locket, the shield. Targamas the first to fall. Betsy getting chased out by Rekkles. Even on a bad AD carry, he can do a lot of work. Djoko gets back to the fountain and will just about survive, but Fnatic can turn their eyes back towards this second Nexus tower. And with it, might be able to close out the game. Ruin's on his way with the Righteous Glory, slowed up with a Winter Spider. Fnatic can't quite close yet.
They're going full tutorial mode right now, Medic. They're going to secure themselves the final inhibitor. Remember, a lot of their tanks are still very healthy, but Rekkles looks like he has no mana. So they don't want to end the game just yet.
As we've learned from Freak, you cannot play an AD carry without mana.
Very true, very true. Becomes very, very challenging. So let's have a look at how this fight kicked off. Really love the ultimate there from Hylissang. Want to highlight how good it was at preventing Giants from following up from the ulti of Sejuani and the follow-up knockup from Ruin. You then have a 3-man ulti land from Targamas, but the CC has already been used. You don't have Djoko follow-up, you don't have Ruin follow-up. And unfortunately, due to a good disengage from Fnatic and a slight lack of communication, or coordination rather, from Giants, means that Fnatic get a pretty easy fight. 2 kills for 0, and they expose the Nexus.
And a second Baron is on the cards for them as well if they want it. Djoko does still have the steal potential, but with a 12,000 gold lead and Fnatic looking so strong, it's going to be a desperation steal to say the least.
Now, Fnatic, they do have good vision control around this area of the map. TP is up for Ruin. Look at the damage.
Cataclysm comes out as well, and Broxah and Rekkles just go unstoppable there. Fnatic are going to try and chase on towards the rest of Giants. The double knockback with the never move, the knockup from Caps. Bwipo coming in from the side as well. There's just nothing you can do. There's the triple kill. Rekkles gets the quadra, going for the penta. What a way to cap it up. But no! Steeelback stops him in his track. And there's no penta for Rekkles today. The ace comes out, but you can see it on his face. Steeelback's just like, yeah, I did that. I did that.
Moral victory for Giants, denying Rekkles the penta. Fnatic will win the game, but Giants can walk away, at least with a smile on their face.
Fnatic continue to solidify their dominance at the very top of the EU LCS. 13-4. It's a face of a disappointed
look
man.
at the frustration on his face. Feels bad, man. But still, for the most part, great game from Fnatic. Was very close, very back and forth. Foul of the junglers, in my eyes. Felt like both Djoko and Broxah really were going all at it. And speaking of Broxah, 100% kill participation. This man had a fantastic early game influence. 4-0 and 16. For me, he's been my player of the game. Felt like he overall played exceptionally well. Hylissang, his ultis, his disengages were fantastic as well. The carries did their job, they did the damage.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do.
Yes, but also credits to Djoko. He tried his best, he tried a lot of engages, Targamas as well, looked for opportunities, and while the engages themselves looked good, unfortunately the coordination wasn't there, and the follow-up couldn't be executed upon to allow Giants to win out on a couple of those fights.
And another good performance from Bwipo, second on the stage here in the EU LCS. As Marcel Fieldcamp said, next year he'll be tearing up the stage. Could be later in this year as well, because at the moment it's looking like he can challenge any top laner in the EU LCS.
Now for him to be eligible for Rookie of the Split, he will need to play one more game. There is only one game left for Fnatic, so he may play tomorrow, yet to be determined.
Personally, I put the form out already. People have the form, and it doesn't have his name on.
It's not about you, Medic. It's about what the people want. And if they think Bwipo is Rookie of the Split, then that is what.
You know how hard it is to get everyone to vote?
Doesn't
have you
matter.
voted?
Of course I have.
Okay, excellent. Have you voted for Bwipo?
I did not.
Okay, because his name isn't on the form, Vedius.
But for Giants, things will only get harder, as now they sit at 7 and 10, along with so many other teams, and it's going to make tomorrow's games that much more exciting.
This time, player of the game stands between Rekkles, Broxah, and Caps, and you guys are in charge of the voting. Head on over to @LollySports on Twitter and make your vote count. A pretty difficult one for me as well, actually, because
Broxah.
Caps... Okay, Broxah, cool.
Broxah.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot less difficult than it could have been.
You're welcome.
Would you put Broxah up as one of your top junglers in EU now as well?
No.
Okay, well, be sure to stick around for our next game between Unicorns of Love and G2, where Rekkles will be joining Shox and Officio at the analyst desk. And I'm sure he'll have many words to say about that stolen penta at the end. Well, it wasn't even stolen, he just died.
That is
yeah,
true.
It's
He
not
did
really
die.
a stolen penta.
He was outplayed, I want to say.
Totally outplayed by one auto attack. Now, since I'm casting, my nurse, QuickShot, will be stepping in to do a standings checkup. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, indeed. Welcome to Medic's playoff checkup with the substitute nurse. We're going to talk about some of the playoff implications after the last 2 games and results have been locked in. Now, when I get the standings up on my screen, you guys are going to know that 4 teams are already locked into playoffs. We know Fnatic are locked into first. We know Splice, Vitality, and G2 eSports are also in the postseason. I want to take this to the next level and look at the race for second. Now, of course, because Vitality took out Splice a little earlier today, tomorrow, the matchup between Vitality and G2 eSports is going to spice up that race for the bye from the quarterfinals to the semifinals. Splice, Vitality, and G2 could all end up in that position. Now, of course, if they do, these 3 teams are then going to be decided and ranked by their head-to-head records. I've already mentioned that G2 play Vitality tomorrow. So let's assume G2 win today. Let's assume Vitality beat G2 tomorrow. What that means is Vitality takes second because they are 2-0 up in head-to-head over Splice. We look at the matches that they've played throughout the split. That talks about the top of the table. I want to look down at the bottom of the table. That is one hell of a mess. 7 wins and 10 losses for 4 of our 10 teams. Unicorns are about to play G2, and that means they could also join this mess. And we're going to need to look at how results come in tomorrow, as well as the head-to-head records to help us determine who's going to finalize our playoff race. There is one thing I do want to allude to, though. Rocket at 8 wins and 9 losses. It's simple. They control their own destiny. Win tomorrow, and you're in, because these blokes down here with 7 wins, they can't catch up. Now, of course, there is still one more game to play today. It is G2 eSports taking on the Unicorns of Love. For G2, this is a must-win game if you want to battle for second. For Unicorns of Love, this is a must-win game if you want to stay alive at all. Find out who takes the game when we come back. It's G2 taking on the Unicorns.
Hylissang's on his way up.